considering becoming a member at WellSprings, then you've probably gotten the message. Part of what membership means is that you make a commitment to support the health of our community. But the other side of membership is that we also make that same commitment to welcome you into our circle of support. We do that primarily in two different ways. The first is that we offer opportunities for spiritual growth for people of every age and all different stages of life. And the second way is that we provide different forms of pastoral and also practical care for our members. Support for spiritual growth really starts at the beginning of life, and we all have a role in not only growing ourselves, but in helping that next generation move towards the kind of life that we want them to have and the kind of future that we want to build for our world. So at WellSprings, we support spiritual growth for people under the age of 13, primarily on Sunday mornings with our YouthSpirit program. We also have a program called Youth Bridge. That's a ministry at our congregation that works with teens and young adults and also helps to bridge the gap between childhood and adulthood by building intergenerational relationships across our congregation.
Youth Bridge Ministry, as it is still forming, the primary idea is that of intergenerational connection. We've been doing our teen game night maybe over a year now at this point, or really close. We've done intergenerational story slam. We've been able to connect our teens with other teens and also our teens with other groups outside of their own little bubble. Sometimes we're only planting seeds. They might not say, I learned this or that. I remember my kids weren't always very forthcoming about what they learned. But then I learned later when they were in college, some of the takeaways they had. I hope they take a will or a willingness to do good in the world. To live the 7 principles, not to be able to recite them, but things like that everybody deserves love, that we're all interconnected. I also hope that they are empowered. I hope that their time with us has helped them recognize that they have a voice and they can use it. It doesn't matter what their age is. They can use their voice to protect someone, or they can use their voice to live out and to speak about the things that they think are right and good and true. If you see a need, if you see something you think families need or your kids need, talk to us. We will do our best to keep Youth Bridge and Youth Spirit evolving in ways that are meaningful for everyone at WellSprings, especially families, and families with children of all ages.
Now, for adults, the main way that we provide spiritual growth opportunities is through our small groups. We have a small groups team at WellSprings of volunteers who work to develop new small group programs and train volunteers as facilitators. We have a couple different kinds of small groups at WellSprings. We call one kind springboards. Springboards are ongoing groups that meet for a certain amount of time. Maybe they meet once a week on a Monday night, for example, for 4 weeks. We also offer a few ongoing drop-in style groups. These don't require any advanced sign up. They're open for anyone to join at any time. And finally, we occasionally offer one-time programs that we call Soul Bites. Soul Bites might be a program, a discussion, a workshop that just give a one-time taste of a subject. Sometimes we also offer those as retreats, which means that they're meeting just one time, but for a longer extended period, maybe a half a day or a full day or even a weekend. Bob Miller is a member of WellSprings who has both taken and facilitated some of these small groups. So he's going to tell you a little bit more about what they're like.
Hi, my name is Bob Miller. What kinds of things happen in small groups at WellSprings? The first is you meet people. It's a great way to meet and get to know other people from WellSprings, otherwise known as Wellspringers. If you haven't heard that term yet, that's a thing. Especially for new church members. It worked for me. You're new to a church, you want to meet some people. If you participate in a small group, introductions are a big part of the first class. And then you spend the next 4 to 6 to 8 weeks together, one night a week for a couple of hours. You get to know people. It's a great way to meet people. So that's number one. Number two, you learn about an interesting topic. I've attended small groups the topic was about being white and what that means and race, and we read a book and we talked about interesting issues regarding race. I attended a small group about God and the universe, and I've participated and led a small group on what music means to your life. So, second reason is you learn about interesting topics. And the third is people share and are open about their life experiences in these small group meetings. I found it really something to sit with a group of people, and over the course of the small group, it's like a safe place to be and be really open, and people take advantage of that. And I think this speaks to our DNA. Parts of our DNA are the power of community. That's something we believe in. I'm cheating, I have this written down off to the side. And we commit to honoring our relationships, treating each other decently, and listening deeply, all part of our DNA. And when you get people together that believe in that sort of thing, and you're spending time together talking about some of the topics in small groups, you hear some really personal things, and that's really meaningful to me to hear people share, and it makes me comfortable sharing things about myself. So, what kinds of things happen in small groups? 3 things. You meet people, you learn about interesting topics, and people share and open up. I really appreciate being asked to share my thoughts on small groups. I'm passionate about small groups at WellSprings, and I was happy to be able to do this. And the last thing to mention is I can't see you, but you can see me, right? So someday we're going to be back in church in Bell Hall, and I hope you are there. And if you see me, please come up to me and introduce yourself, if you remember what I look like. Hopefully we're there sooner, not later. And just introduce yourself. Let me know you were in 1.0, you saw the video, and it's a way for me to be sure to meet the new members. I hope I get to meet each and every one of you in Bell Hall in person someday. And thank you very much for listening.
So that is the first way that we support our members at WellSprings, by offering these opportunities for you to grow spiritually. The second way that we support our members is by offering pastoral and practical care. Now, what does pastoral care mean? I know for a lot of people, especially if you have not been part of a spiritual community before, that word might be new to you, pastoral care. Depending on where you are in life, you might have been thinking as you joined this community, well, now I will have someone maybe to marry me, or officiate my memorial service someday, or dedicate my children. And yes, absolutely, that is part of what we do. But part of becoming a congregation is also becoming part of a community where we all support each other. At WellSprings, we try to be there for each other through all of the big moments in life, birth and death and marriage, yes, but also through moves, through illnesses, through adoptions, through breakups and divorce, through caregiving for aging parents, through any kind of crisis you might experience or job loss, really any sort of celebration or challenge that you might go through in life. Now, when we go through big changes like this, we sometimes need a listening ear, a witness, just someone to accompany us through it and help us know that we're not alone. That kind of support is what we call pastoral care. Some of those life events, of course, also come with practical needs. And our HeartWorks team is the primary group within our congregation that mobilizes volunteers to provide conscious acts of service, both within and beyond our community. One of our members, Tiffany Shoffner, is going to tell you a little bit about how HeartWorks supported her when her second child, Anthony, was born.
Hi, WellSprings 1.0 attendees. My name is Tiffany Shoffner. Our family joined WellSprings in 2015. At the time, we were living in Morgantown, Pennsylvania, so we were driving about 25 minutes. After making WellSprings our spiritual community, we also decided that eventually we would want to move closer. 2 years later, in the summer of 2017, while I was almost 9 months pregnant, we made that move. Our support system here to help us get things done wasn't huge. We had some friends, but also friends with children, and so it was hard on us to get some things done. I remember very well at a service around that time, Reverend Lee, as I walked through the doors, came up and said, how are you guys doing? What's going on? And I was like, gosh, I don't know what made me answer in that moment. Probably just the I needed to be honest with myself as well, but I said, gosh, this isn't easy. Like, we need some help. And we're having a hard time, like, getting our stuff packed and getting moved. And she smiled warmly and said, let us help. That's what church is for. And I just remember being, like, kind of in shock, because sure, that's what church is for, but I was thinking, like, these ministries like Heartworks and others, like, aren't they there to help the most desperate and need people? Like, I'm thinking, like, shut in and really people who need it more than I need it. Like, I should get my stuff together and, like, do this. But I just, like, leaned into the, okay, like, we came to this community and we wanted to be here, so what better way to meet more people and have interactions than to, like, lean in and ask for some help. So I did, and I let it go, which was not, like, my personality at the time. But the first offer from Heartworks came in a lovely offer to help us unpack boxes. So 2 ladies showed up at our door and helped us turn a very empty bedroom into what is now Anthony's room, Anthony's nursery at the time. And, you know, as a mom, you, like, always remember the support that was given to your children, and that was really meaningful to us that WellSprings offered to do that. So then the next offer that came in was for meals. Could Heartworks send us some meals after Anthony arrived to help us in that way? Again, wow. I remember people bringing pasta and quiche and salads and bread and brownies and fresh eggs, like, those meals that were made and dropped off with so much love, really, really helped us in a way that I can't describe. So we are so thankful for so many reasons for this beloved community that we are a part of. But the Heartworks team and the work that they do, you know, it's not for just someone who's in dire need. It's for people who just need help. And I really appreciate that. And I've never felt that I can't ask my fellow Wellspringers for help, no matter what the situation is. And so we welcome you to our community and offer the same. We're all here to support each other, and I love that about our community.
Now, Tiffany's story is a great example of how we try to show up for each other when there are practical things to do, when we could really use a helping hand. We even have an emergency fund available to help congregants who might find themselves in a financial crunch for a short period of time. In the past, we've been able to help out with rent or mortgage payments, an unexpected bill, even a month's worth of groceries, just as another way to help you get over a temporary hurdle. But of course, like I said, sometimes in life, we just go through these big changes where there's really not anything to do. We just want maybe someone to talk with, someone to visit us, someone to provide some company through what we are experiencing. That's the kind of support we mean when we talk about pastoral care. Now, here at WellSprings, we have another team of volunteers that supports me in providing pastoral care to our congregation. They're called the Caring Team. We make calls, we make visits sometimes to people when they're in the hospital or when they're recovering from illness or really coping with any kind of big change in life. So for any kind of need that you have, pastoral or practical, you can always email caring@wellspringsuu.org. That message will reach me and also a few members of our caring team. And don't worry, if your request ends up being something that's better handled by Heartworks or even another team at WellSprings, we can make sure it gets to the right place. Finally, if you become a member at WellSprings, then I will become your pastor. It is one of the great joys of being a minister to be welcomed into people's lives. I love getting to know members of our congregation one-on-one. You can book a time to talk on my calendar anytime at all. Just go to this link. It's a little handy scheduler I use called Calendly. So that's calendly.com/reverendly. I keep this link in my email signature if you ever have trouble finding it, and it's also accessible through the contact page on our website. Just like I said to Tiffany that Sunday morning in Bell Hall, this is what spiritual community is for. We are here on this earth to love and care for one another. So I hope that you'll consider joining us in practicing that in this one small way as a member of our community at WellSprings.